All right. Where do you want to start, Monet?
I guess we should start with an introduction.
Oh.
For our...
Is this a podcast or are we just talking?
I think it's... Yeah, let's... I'm looking at the camera. You're right next to...
I'm just an observer.
I feel like this... You got an intro.
It's the AskJP podcast with jpmorrell. Now, let's start the show. Here's JP.
Hi, it's JP.
Oh my God.
We're hanging out with Stein right now.
Hi, welcome to the AskJP podcast with JP Morrell and guest host Monet Brignac. Our special guest today, if you cannot tell by our setting, is
Dan Stein.
Hi, everybody.
The infamous Dan Stein, and by infamous, I mean more than famous.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll insert some applause there.
All right, we don't have to do that.
Yes.
We do. What do we want to talk about today?
I mean...
Do you think I'm doing a good job?
Yeah, I do.
You do? Why do you think I'm doing a good job? Wow, you're really thinking really hard on that.
I mean, I don't have specifics.
Okay, let's more specific. I've been a councilperson for one term. You've been watching the city go along. Do you think that I'm doing work that has positively impacted the city?
Yeah, I think you're protecting us, and I feel that way. I don't necessarily always agree with everything you do, but I mean, am I supposed to?
No, you're not.
No.
I mean, let me be very clear. When I do things, I don't do them from a perspective of will everyone agree with what I'm doing. I've always been an elected official who believes if I do the right thing, history will show me out that I'm doing the right thing. And that occasionally, even when I get it wrong, I always try to fix whatever I broke. I've done that in the past. I've made mistakes and I own them and I fix them. But I feel like if you attack every issue with the earnest desire to try and fix it, if it requires me to be kind of an asshole, then sometimes you kind of have to be an asshole, because I feel like as someone who lived in the city for my entire life, and I look at previous councils and previous mayors and I see the same problems coming back over and over again, I feel like somebody has to call bullshit sometimes.
So you mentioned assholes, and when we were booking this episode, Dan Stein said, quote, JP is an asshole, but he is our asshole.
I mean,
and JP said that was the best thing you could have said about him.
Honestly, from my perspective.
So coming from Philadelphia, we hated Dykstra. But when we got Lenny was our asshole at that point. I'm sure I don't really follow football as much for but Tyrann Mathieu was probably everybody else's asshole, but then he became
our asshole.
Yeah. Our little bug that bothers everybody.
He was the honey badger. He was a terror to other teams, but he was our terror. But from my perspective, it's as a student of history, I like to use this. Dennis Kucinich, right?
No.
Okay, Dennis Kucinich was this congressman, this wonky, nerdy-ass dude from Cleveland, Ohio. He was the mayor of Cleveland, Ohio. I want to say one of the youngest mayors in the history of Cleveland's history. He went into the mayorship with the goal of trying to fix Cleveland. And as he did everything, everyone hated him. He was hounded. He was cursed out. He was chased out of places. And when he was done being mayor, they basically chased his ass out of Cleveland. It took years later for people to realize all the shit he did saved Cleveland. Because when you're making the hard decisions in the moment, they're not popular. I mean, doing the right thing is never the easy thing.
I mean, it's hard too, because you're a lot of people are very much focused on the short term and stuff like that. I mean, I'll give a sort of self-incriminating example. Alex LeBeau, who lives in New York now, but used to be Mitch's second guy. Mitch started taking down the statues. Why is he doing this? What are we doing? Why are we focused on this? What this? I told Alex later on, I stand 100% correct. Long term, If we're going to create a place, where people feel comfortable, those things have to come down.
Right.
Sooner rather than later, and create an environment where everybody feels comfortable being here. And, again, I go and I applaud Mitch for having the foresight to do that and taking the political risk to do that. And because, so
it's very similar to how I view my multi-year battle with the Sewage and Water Board. I have been fighting with the Sewage and Water Board since I was in the legislature. And then when I came to the council, I was like, I can finally fix it. And then I realized I had to go back to the legislature to fix it. But like Monet knows because she gets the calls in my office, people are yelling at me. But it's like, you have two choices. I could simply complain about the Sewage and Water Board and do that forever, or I could have the fight over Sewage and Water Board and try to make things better. And the politically easy thing to do would be to say, it's a state entity. I have no control. I can't do anything about it. Instead, I kind of bashed my head against a wall for 2 years to get billing under control. And it took forever. And it took a tremendous amount of like my youth and vitality and probably shaved years off my life. But we got through a $22 million backlog of bad bills so that little old ladies didn't have to worry about how they were going to pay for a $10,000 bill they never should have had. Mm-hmm. It took forever. People were mad about it, but I did something. I moved the needle, even if the needle didn't go as far as I'd like.
Sewage and Water Board, I mean, is it ever?
It's the thing about Sewage and Water Board is that Sewage and Water Board is fixable if you don't mind pissing people off. And I don't just mean the people who are the ratepayers because they're already pissed. I mean, one of the biggest issues with Sewage and Water Board is that there are people who truly understand that sewer drainage is the future of the city. If we can't handle drainage, no one's going to move here or live here. And they get so tunnel visioned on drainage that they don't give a shit about anything else. Like when the bills were out of control, I was literally being told, and Monet can tell you this, people were like, shut the hell up. We need more money to do the pumps. If the bills are wrong, we'll just generate more money to fix the pumps. And I'm like, if you're cutting off water to little old ladies over bad bills,
that's not
you're not fixing the problem.
Well, they said the bill's wrong and you have to pay half.
Right, sorry. The Sewage and Water Board solution was if your bill's wrong, you can pay half. Well, if my bill's $50 a month and the bad bill's $5,000,
I mean,
and what was crazy to me is I'm like, listen,
it's like the banks that charge whatever bounce fees,
the overdraft.
Yeah, the overdraft fees, and then but you use that and budget in the fact that they know a bunch of their clientele.
But it's like, and the thing which was really like cutting off your nose to spite your faces. The Sewage and Water Board is largely funded by millages, which is property tax you have to vote on. And I was like, you dumb SOBs, if the bills are all wrong and you're counting on voters to vote to renew your property tax, how the hell is that going to work? Because if all I'm getting is bad bills from the Sewage and Water Board, and then I get a millage come up and they're like, hey, I want you to give us more money, a reasonable person is going to say, why the hell would I give money to an organization that tries to rip me off every month? And so that was the fight over billing, was 2 damn years of battling the legislature. We had to fight our own delegation because they were basically being told by the mayor, JP's wrong, nothing to see here, move along. And if you know me, I'm like a pit bull with a bone. If I decide I want to fix something, I'm into it till it's fixed. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it was brutal. It was necessary. But that was a fight that like had to be picked.
You get along with Leslie, right?
I get along with Leslie.
We love Leslie.
Although I get along with Leslie. We still disagree on stuff. But I mean, the thing is that honestly, I think it's healthy on a council for everyone not to agree on everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, we get along very well. She took the lead on the Housing Trust Fund. I'll be very candid. Her leadership there was kind of insane insofar as she was a person that when she first came up with the concept, everyone told her it would never possibly work. And I'll give credit where it's due. And I mean, I was happy to help her with it, but she never took no for an answer. She put it in front of voters and voters passed it. But That's when I get so frustrated when there are people who are like, this council's done nothing. This council's done everything. In a city where there's really been a vacuum of leadership, all of us in our own different ways and our own different areas stepped up to do something. And it really is an injustice to all of us and the work we've done when people go, if this council just would have got along, the mayor could have fixed everything. That's really kind of a narrative people trying to put all the time. And it's just so frustrating because it diminishes all the work we did do when there was no mayor who wanted to help us with it.
So you're looking forward to being able to potentially...
I don't think it could get any worse. I mean, I know, to be honest, like, obviously all of us like our own candidates for mayor, but I can say this much. One, I think everybody running for mayor legitimately wants to fix the city. And I think that not any, there's some candidates who like are completely insane, but out of the ones who are in the lead, I think all of them legitimately believe that they can lead the city in the right direction. I think there's two problems that I have with some of the candidates. One, the ones who blame the council for everything and give the mayor a pass, it pains me to see revisionist history in real time. You know what I mean? Like if you dislike the direction of the city, how do you absolve the mayor you're trying to replace with the fact the city's in the wrong direction? It's just bizarre.
I mean, that's the one thing that I took from was a couple things. There's a couple flags that Royce entering late, throwing city council under the bus. Some of the comments he made about insurance, other things he wanted to like create fear. Those are all for me. Those are all red flags. Those smack of potential bullying by preying on people's fears, and so he's kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I can't support him.
No, I mean, for me, my issue is if you've got new ideas to fix the city, focus on running on the new ideas and the new leadership you're going to do.
I don't hear any, Helena, I hear like 1,000 ideas a minute. I'm like, I'm just like.
I mean, honestly, it's interesting because, like, I think when you're looking at a council member or a mayoral candidate, you have to look at the mess that is currently the city and see opportunity. See, I think I can take this giant pile of, I'm with Stein, so I'm just going to be.
Please.
Like, you have to look at this giant pile of chicken and say, I'm going to make chicken salad. And if all you see is chicken and all you see is and that the city's in a terrible place and it can't be fixed, don't run for office. Now, that being said, it's not enough to say, I don't like any of the people currently elected. I want to do their job, but I cannot articulate to you what I will do different. Mm-hmm. And I think what's really exhausting for both candidates and voters is there is a wave of negativity in campaigning where it's like, this city needs hope and optimism, not that everything's terrible and there's no way to fix it. As much as I am on TV and people see how, like, my interaction with people, they think I'm too rough. I'm from my perspective, to be honest, to people that are watching, I get frustrated because I love this city so much and I see what it can be. And when I get frustrated, particularly with people in City Hall, it's because I don't feel like they have our sense of urgency to fix a problem. And when I came in, all I heard over and over again was, yeah, that's a problem, but it can't be fixed. That's all bullshit. Everything in the city can be fixed. People are adults. If a problem requires pain to fix it, tell adults this is the painful thing we have to do to fix X. And what I've seen in City Hall in this first term is a lot of people who want to spare people the pain of making hard decisions. And it's exhausting and it's all bullshit. Everything can be fixed. Sewage and water board, it can be fixed. You're going to have to tell people in the business community, customer service is important. If people feel like this is a ass organization, they're never going to give it money and they're never going to invest in it. You cannot tell poor people that the only solution to fix sewage and water board is to cutting off their water when they're one day late on their bills. Customer service is first in any utility. So With Sewage and Water Board, because we're not having to regulate them through the federal government, we need to be aggressive in saying, do your job, do it well, and be responsive to people about what the you're doing. And if you do that, people, they may not love you, but at least they'll respect you. When you look at these other things that go on in the city, look at energy. Energy is like we're wrestling a slippery snake every day of every hour to get energy to do the right thing. And it is an exhausting battle every single day, but the council still steps in the ring to do it because it's necessary. Whenever they come up with a new rate or a new thing they want to do, we essentially have a mini court case at council. And if we don't have all the facts in order legally, they can sue us in civil district court to raise your rates higher anyway. The reason why those dockets take forever is because we're wrestling this slippery ass snake to minimize how much they can hurt our city.
How much did you know about this before you started?
Oh, I mean, like, I knew it was bad, but realized the legislature doesn't regulate utilities. And the legislature, our interaction with energy is like any large corporation. It's like taxes. Like, how's their tax structure? Is it a super corporation or not? So, like, I knew more than most because my mom, when she was on the council, was on the utility chair. And she warned me. She said, this is rough because you can do the right thing every day and people still hate you for it. And so I knew to some degree how bad it would be. But I mean, people forget we got the largest settlement of any jurisdiction, bigger than other states in that Grand Gulf settlement, because we refused to settle until we got what we were owed. And we were under so much pressure at the federal and state level to take pennies. And we basically told everyone, you, the people of New Orleans, are in it to win it. And because of that, we got way more money per capita than anybody else. We turned around and reinvested that money in the system. And I want to be very clear, because I know you and I were talking about this. People keep saying this crazy bullshit about the council giving energy money. We don't give energy. And if you don't believe me, go watch John Oliver. Utility companies make their money by making you do massive projects and financing them and making loads of money off interest. What the council did is we took our settlement money, and rather than give energy the ability to make us pay them and pay their ridiculous interest rates to harden our grid, we prepaid with our own money so that we didn't have to borrow the money from energy. That's not giving energy money. That's us paying for and not letting energy make a profit off it.
So you're running for at large, right?
Yep, for re-election.
Re-election. You're at large before?
Yeah, I'm currently that large.
You're at large? And what were you before that?
I was a state senator.
That's at large. So this would be great, because now I'm gonna sound like an idiot, but I don't care.
You're the everyman, Stein. Everyone doesn't remember any of this stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. So term is 4 years?
Term is 4 years. This will be my final term. And
you're maxed out?
After this next term, if I'm reelected, I am maxed out and I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm like,
deuces.
You can't do.
I mean, if I was like a psychopath and wanted to stay in government forever, I could like hop around council seats or whatever. But I'm a firm believer in term limits. When I left the legislature in 2020, I left. I didn't run for another office. I came home, was a lawyer for a year and a half.
So you never ran for a specific area. You went right to at large.
I ran right for at large. Well, I mean, when I was a senator, I represented about 120,000 people across 3 parishes. I know what it's like to have to represent people who have I represented Orleans Parish, Jefferson, and St. Bernard. Now, if you want to talk about 3 different groups who don't agree on anything, there's your 3. Like, from my perspective, when I looked at running for city council, I know how to manage different groups who have different wants and needs and try to figure out how to get groups to come together on it. And so I felt that was where my talents best laid. And plus, I want to drive policy. And I mean, district council people are very important and good at larges. And I think Helene and I have been good in that regard. When it comes to zoning in a district, you defer to a district council member because they're the ones who are the district council members. For us, we alternate being president and vice president. But more importantly, we are the counterweight from a citywide level to the mayor. Our role is to be the people who are promoting and pushing policy to move the city forward and to really stand as a counterbalance to the executive. And I feel like the two at-larges, Elena and I, have really done that. I mean, we are the people who, when we see the administration making moves that are bad for the city, generally speaking, we're the ones that step up and go, no, that doesn't make any sense. We're not doing that.
When you started, did you hit the ground running or was there a learning curve?
I thought I would hit the ground running, and I would say more like I hit the ground stumbling, because no matter what people tell you about the city council, it is a tremendous learning curve. I will tell you that being a council member is, you go into it thinking you have tremendous power. You're told by everyone you have no power. And what we found this term is that we had way more power than people told us we did, but not nearly enough power as we thought we'd have to change things. Like, we were told that you can't make departments do anything. And I mean, that's true to an extent. We don't run the daily operations of the departments, but we fund them. And we really flexed our muscle when it came to safety and permits, DPW in particular, code enforcement. When they weren't doing their job, we could use the budget to yank their chain, which we did. But that is like doing surgery with a sledgehammer, because whenever you're yanking their train with the budget, you're also impeding their ability to be able to do their job. So we did that a lot in the first year. We didn't do a lot of that afterwards, because though it got their attention, it didn't solve the problem. Confirmation, which voters approved after the council put on the ballot, was a game changer. Mm-hmm. Creating a process where whenever the mayor appoints a department head, that person having to go through a confirmation process where the public could see their qualifications, and where they realize, because the council is confirming them, that they work for the mayor, the council, and the public. All the people we confirmed really get the fact they're public servants. I would argue pretty much all of our lowest performing department heads were never confirmed because they predate confirmation. They think their only boss is the mayor, and as long as the mayor's happy with their job, doesn't matter if you hate their job or I hate their job, they only got one boss. The people we confirmed, their entire approach to government is different, because they had to go through a public process. We checked their qualifications. We asked the right questions, and the public got to see them get confirmed.
But what happens after they're confirmed and they don't do the...
Well, what happens, we always have the ability as a council. It's one of those things that we told we couldn't do, and we have the power to. If you're a person who is hired by the mayor or in any public service capacity and you're not civil service, the council can fire you for not doing your job. Now, in the history of the city of New Orleans, the city council had never fired anyone until we fired someone. There's a guy named Greg Joseph who was the mayor's communications guy. When the recall was happening, he took public dollars and put out mailers defending the mayor in the recall. And he tried to say that there was a public interest in it, but the more we dug into it, the more it was, no, you were just trying to protect the mayor from being recalled politically and using money that was taxpayer money to do it. And ultimately, when he was confronted with it and information showing that he lied, he doubled down on his lies, and he lied to the council during the investigation, and we fired his ass. Mm-hmm. And that was us. That was also a moment where department heads became a lot more responsive, because the council had this ability and they just never used it. And once we said we could do it, a lot of departments that weren't doing their job and weren't responsive, I'm not saying they got better at their jobs, but at least they started responding to coming to public. I mean, we had a period in the council where department heads would not even come to council meetings because they'd say, screw you guys, you can't do anything to us. Yep. After Greg Joseph, they started showing up to council meetings.
Why don't you talk about because I think your charter amendment for this fall kind of...
Do you like what you do?
Lends to that. Or we can talk about that as well.
I find the work gratifying, though often not as enjoyable as people think it is.
Sure, I understand that.
Like, I think I'm in the...
I understand that.
Yeah, like I'm at the right place at the right time to make the city better.
In your life, too. You like that.
I mean, like...
You sleep at night.
I sleep at night. Like, I want the opportunity for my kids to live here if they want. I want people that I grew up with, people that took care of me as a child. Like, there's so many people in this community that have done so much for me that I want this city to work for them. Does that mean this job is like awesome and every day I get up and I'm just like super hyped? This job is brutal. It is brutal, but you have to go into it each day saying, I'm doing the right thing. I'm making the city better. This place will be better when I leave it than when I got here. And that's what gets me up to do the job, because I know that I'm improving things even without the fight to do it. And I get a lot of crap for this from my colleagues. I hate the perks. I hate ribbon cuttings. I hate going to parties. I hate doing all that stuff.
Proclamations.
I hate doing all the proclamations, like
those suck.
Meaningless proclamations to like the person who like saved a kitten. Because from my perspective, you get to do that fun stuff when the work is done, and there's so much damn work to do.
We're similar.
You know what I mean? Like it's exhausting, but it's like,
this is like a perk for me.
Right.
It's like doing a podcast with JP on 8:00 on a Wednesday night.
Well, I enjoy coming here.
That's like this is a perk for me. But most people will say, well, what about going on vacation, or what about doing that? I'm like, I don't.
Well, like we're very similar in that, like, people don't realize I don't go on vacation.
I mean, this is cool for me. I'm learning more stuff. But I'm learning from the guy. I'm like actually learning from the guy who runs the place.
But like, even like, I feel the constant pressure every day of the expectations of people on where they want the city to be. And I think for a lot of people, it's a huge weight that can crush you. But when I ran for office, I told people to raise their expectations of what government can be, because in 2021, we were in the absolute bottom of a goddamn toilet. As far as people were just like, the lights come on occasionally, that's good enough. Like, I'll give you an example. And this is credit to Monet, who's awesome. There is social media for the Council Utility Regulation Office, our committee. We publish every outage and why the power went out. Now, let's be very clear. We do. We publish.
You do that? I usually
try our best,
focus on like Irish Channel. I go to the Irish Channel.
Now, granted, a major outage, not like two people lost their power.
Right. But if there's an outage that affects a large portion of the city, we publish it. Now, let's be very clear. And let's listen to this, people in the podcast sphere. The easiest thing politically would be to not do that. To not publish the information, to downplay outages and try to say, that's just what happens. Having the ability to publish outages and why they happen, to be transparent with it, is how we expect the public to hold the council and energy to account as to why these outages happen. And it's like, that's something the council never did before. That information was never publicly available. It was never pushed out to the public because we want them to have it. Part of why we have a reliability docket now, we're fighting energy over the power going out because the lightning actuators don't work, is because we're like, if a piece of equipment that we pay you to put on our power line doesn't work and it doesn't save us from an outage, that's a you problem, not a us problem. And part of having those outages be out there is that we want people to hold us to account, to hold energy to account, to say, when reliability fails, that is you, not us. Mylar balloon, which happens more often than it really should, that's a human dumbass error. We should not be flying Mylar balloons blowing out power. When parts of power lines don't work because energy does not keep an inventory and replace shit on time, that is an energy problem, and they have to eat that damn cost. And part of the fight we have in regulating them is they spend every day trying to weasel out of stuff they're supposed to pay for, and we spend every day figuring out ways to make them pay for it. The challenge there is that in this docket process, it's not like a regular committee meeting where we go and we yell at each other and try and solve problems, because a docket, every part of regulation is done from a perspective, and that if we don't have our I's dotted and T's crossed, energy will go to court and whip our ass. So we have to line up all of our ducks in a row. We have to get all our consultants and advisors to go through all of their inventories and build a court case to make them do the right thing. That takes months. Us just looking at a rate case takes 1.5 years to 2 years, because energy wants this amount of money. We go, hell, goddamn no, you can't have that. And we have to negotiate and fight for a year, 18 months, 2 years, because whatever we come out with, if we don't have our I's dotted and T's crossed, Energy can go to civil district court, say the council's decision was arbitrary, and civil district court will say, Energy's right, your rate's going up 5 times. They can do that. That is the legal fight we have every day over utility regulation. It is a battle to make sure that the record is clean and clear so that if we get sued, hell, right now with the work we're doing to do consolidated billing, which is the foundation of having solar in the city, Energy is fighting us tooth and nail, and they're already threatening to sue us because they know that if we get bill consolidation in, it makes it stupid easy for people to get solar panels and lower their bills. It is a tooth and nail battle that we know is going to end up in court, so we're carefully monitoring the docket and making sure everything is in the docket correctly because we know Energy is going to sue us going into it. Would I love to pull Energy into a committee and bitch slap them on the record every day? Absolutely.
Yes.
That's what they want, because if I bitch slap them and tell them in advance how I'm going to rule on a case, they will win that case in civil district court, and our rates will be completely foobarred.
You say civil district is state court.
State court.
Okay.
So if they disagree or we fight over a docket and they disagree with it, an example is, so after Ida, before I was on the council, Helena Moreno, who chaired utilities before me, she fined Energy $1 million for the Ida reliability failures. We lost that case in civil district court with Rachel Johnson. And that case was in appeals when we settled the Grand Gulf case, and we ended up settling that case too. But that was a case where, like with everything, if they sue us and we go to district court, a judge, elected judge, first district and district court will rule on it. That case will eventually, if we fight it, go to the Supreme Court. What I want to remind everyone is that the Supreme Court has one person from New Orleans. The other 6 are not. If you go up to the Supreme Court on a bad case with 6 Republicans and 1 Democrat, and the 6 Republicans are not from New Orleans, and Energy pays campaign donations to judges because they're all elected, that's a case you're going to lose unless you have every single possible thing lined up properly. And that's what we deal with every docket, making sure everything is correct so that if we get sued, we can win, because we are constantly under the threat of a lawsuit by a Fortune 500 company versus the New Orleans City Council. And that's my job. That I love. That's not gratifying.
Yeah.
But I get it. And I mean,
you get it. You're angry. Well, you're not angry. You act angry.
Well, I mean, it's not that I'm angry, Dan. I'm
frustrated.
I'm frustrated because we are not where I wanted us to be in 4 years after.
I mean, I don't understand fully your job.
I don't think many people do.
And guess
honest,
what? I'm your boss.
I know you are my boss, and I mean, to be honest, like, I think the challenge is
I'm your boss. I mean, yeah, the challenge is you have to communicate to me to make it understand that you're actually doing a good job and stuff like that. And I sort of just gather, or I guess, 18 years being in business, I usually pick the right pony,
right?
And stuff like that, and I can usually figure stuff out. So yes, I like you a lot.
The thing is that it goes back to what I said. I mean, for me, I'm frustrated because the city is not moving as fast as I want it to move. But in that same breath, I feel like though I've dragged the city kicking and screaming halfway to where I want it to be, I have the gas left in the tank to finish the job. Like, that's why our motto in our campaign, which I kind of stole honestly from Microsoft, from Halo Combat Evolved, is like finishing the fight.
Finish the fight.
Because the reality is, like, people see me as a fighter, and even though people try to turn my desire to fight into a bad thing, I will tell you, from when I started in the legislature with the goddamn Road Home program, fighting it, to now, we've only changed things in this state by fighting. I don't care what the hell anyone says and what they're running for. Anyone who tells you that I'm going to be a beacon of peace and fix anything in state or city government is completely full of shit. Completely full of shit.
I'm not going anywhere. This is home for me now. You know. And I guess the point that I see, you know, I sit on that counter. Well, I sit less there now. I've hired enough people and stuff like that. So I'm there Saturdays and Sundays. I see a lot. But I also see stuff around me, and I see the population loss. But it's not just in the city. It's in the state. Mm-hmm. You know, I see things like I saw recently, like 3 things caught my attention because I see NOLA.com every day. Well, first of all, there was that big gas explosion or oil explosion. Correct. Yep. One. That was number one. Then I saw that solar panel thing.
Yes. Posigen went under.
Yeah. And then I also saw something about a paper refinery, I believe, that stopped doing stuff, and they
in Bogalusa, the paper mill went out of business.
Yeah, and so these things, you know, because we're not like the state doesn't have, you know, Ford or something like that. It's a conglomeration of little big businesses right. and mm-hmm. stuff like that. Those are, to me, that's. All those are material losses, and yeah, there's some replacement, but I mean, I'm genuinely concerned, and there's nothing you can do. But I'm genuinely concerned by the population loss, and for me, I see it as this. I see it as climate change is causing insurance rates to go up. And because insurance rates are going up, it's the same thing as when your teacher basically at the end of recess started flicking the lights and saying, it's time for you guys to leave. Your place is not here. I'm not saying we have to leave right now, but for me, I don't see us, and I don't see this as being a reversible thing, unfortunately. So I actually do agree with something Helena said yesterday and about getting the place, get the roads right, get everything, you know, get it clean, get it nice and stuff like, make it comfortable, make it where it's supposed to be.
When you look at the city, the challenge is we are a city full of very creative people we have a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people that are trying to make things work in the city. And there's this story, and I'm going to steal it from Helena because it's a really good story. And I always credit, I'm not a plagiarizer. She said this, she was talking to a mom who was like, I always start my day great and New Orleans ruins it. And she'll be like, I'll pick up my kids. We're all getting together, having breakfast, having a great time. We get in the car. Everyone is on the same page. Everything's great. Then we're driving down Claiborne. It goes to one lane. And suddenly we're ahead of schedule to get to school. And suddenly we're behind schedule. And then we get through Claiborne and then something else happens. The stoplight's not working. So then we're now not just running late, we're significantly late. And the kids are in the car screaming. And it's like one of those things where it's like, we need to get to a place in the city where New Orleans is not the thing ruining your day just because the environment is working against you.
These things don't bother me, and I don't know why. Maybe it's just...
I think you and I have a little bit of...
Maybe it's radical acceptance or something. I don't know.
I think the challenge is
maybe I spend too much time in here, so I'm not stuck in traffic.
Ding ding ding.
But I don't think it's just that. I think it goes back to everything in this city can be fixed as long as we collectively are able to make hard decisions. A great example is we were made aware by the mayor. This was the fight today. The mayor told, when we passed the budget in 2024, we had a surplus. We had more money than we needed. You go fast forward to February, the mayor backs out of the school board settlement, goes, we don't have any money anymore. And so we're all like, what in the hell are you talking about? How do we pass a budget with a surplus and then go into no money? Well, then we have this huge debate in February, this huge, massive conflict between the council, the mayor's office. And we're like, do we have a deficit or not? Well, you have the finance department going, there's a deficit, it's a lot of money, we got to cut spending. Then you have the administration going, they're really blowing this out of proportion. There really isn't a deficit. And there was a moment, and I might have Monet splice that moment in here. After you said that, I said, you're right, let's start cutting spending. That is when the council said we should cut all travel as a first step to cutting spending. And the moment we did that, we got sued by the mayor of the city of New Orleans to continue travel.
Okay, so outside of travel, I think we also talked about prioritizing initiatives, right?
Absolutely.
If we took travel off the table, what else was put
the
on
responsibility? So here's the issue. What we have control over as far as cuts, we passed one ordinance regarding travel. Mr. Threat, who's responsible for making cuts to the budget? Not during the budgetary period. The CAO's office. So I appreciate, as I said, you keep saying, I don't want to cast blame. You keep looking at us like we didn't do something.
I said clearly at the time it was shared responsibility, both the administration and the council. We were partners.
So the only person who made a cut or tried to make a cut in February was who? Who was the one group that tried to cut something?
Travel only, you mean?
Anything. What did the administration cut in February?
I have no idea.
Mr. Threat, what did the administration cut in February?
We're blowing through overtime in February. I mean,
so,
that's one of the issues.
So let's, because we're agreed upon set of facts, the one group that tried to cut something was the council.
So is there a deficit?
There is a $65 million deficit. That is the number we got today. The number's going up and down. At one point,
is that a lot or is that a little?
Here's the trick.
65 is a lot for me.
65 is a lot. And there's a plan the administration finally unveiled today to tackle about over half of it. The challenge we had, and what I point to urgency in making hard decisions, had we decided to attack the deficit, had the mayor decided to work with us to attack the deficit in February, we could have whittled that down over the year. And the challenge there is we could have figured out ways to reduce spending early in the year and soften the cushion. Instead, the administration decided to be Chicken Little. Now, let me be very clear, because this is something that we covered today.
I understand you have not gotten along with.
Well, but here's the issue. This is what really pissed me off.
It's almost over, right?
Well, it is and it isn't. What pissed me off today, and it pisses me off about some of the mayoral candidates, and Royce, let's use names, as the number one person. You can't blame the council for everything and then fight and argue the council should have less power. If the council had the authority to go and review the budget and cut the budget, we would have done it ourselves. Once we passed the budget, and this is not just our council, this goes down from whether it's the council and the mayor, the governor and the legislature, or Congress and the president. When you're making cuts because the government is overspending, cut plans always come from the executive. What we thought was going to happen in February when we cut travel was they were going to present a plan on how we would cut our way out of the problem. They didn't do shit. Now, to Joe's credit, what Joe's been doing, God bless him, for the last 4 months, is trying to find things he could go pull back money on in a very awkward way to solve the Joe DeRusso.
Oh, Joe DeRusso. Okay.
The budget chair, he's been trying to find ways that the council could use its authority to claw back some money to try and pass the budget hole. That is not normal for the council to try to figure out a way to do cuts in a budget when the executive.
That's not your job.
It's not our job. Now, we were going to do it because no one else would do it, and Joe was working on that. And what we saw today, which was an improvement, was they showed up with the beginning of a plan on how to do the cuts. Now, it's not enough cuts. We're still short, but we're still trying to work out ways, and I think we're going to get there on being able to fix the budget with the administration to not furlough people. But this shouldn't have taken this long. We fired the first shot saying we should cut travel. And to be clear, and I want to clear this up, the travel ban was not just for the mayor. It was for everybody. Mm-hmm. It was for the council. It was for our staff. It was for everybody in city government. And let me tell you, a lot of people were pissed with the council because they all had professional development training. You had the chief going to do conferences. We tried to cut all of it because that is non-essential spending. And the moment we tried to cut anything rather than work with us to have more cuts, we got sued so the mayor could keep traveling. And that blocked all of our travel cuts, which contributed at least probably to $1 million or $2 million to the deficit we currently have.
So $2 million out of 65.
Right, which, like you and I both know, it's not a lot of money when you're looking at a budget, but $2 million is a whole lot of jobs. I mean, I'll give you an example. The mayor's flight to Nice was $50,000. We found out at the beginning of hurricane season that our Office of Homeland Security could not hire a volunteer coordinator, an essential position, because the mayor would not allow them to hire. This was in June. It cost $50,000 to hire that position. So you could have done one non-trip and had an essential person that we would need.
That's just her ticket?
That was her whole junket was $50,000.
Her entourage.
Entourage, all of it.
Okay.
But the point is that when you spend money on things that are not essential and we see things that are essential not being funded, it's frustrating as hell. And when I talk about how angry and frustrated I get about the lack of urgency in solving problems, it's when I see like that. I mean, we'll put that clip in here too. When I'm talking to Colin being like, so it's $50,000 for this person, $50,000 to go to Nice. Which one's more important? A volunteer coordinator if a hurricane happens, or a trip to a place in France that we don't need to do?
One of which right now is our volunteer coordinator. It's budgeted. We have yet to be given approval to hire for that position. And as we are in the middle of hurricane season or approaching the middle of hurricane season, it's something that it's creating a burden on the existing staff in my office to cover those vacancies.
Councilman Green. What's the limit on your ability to hire the person? Why haven't you gotten that position approved?
It is approved. I just have not been able.
Oh, it's just a matter of filling it. It's not.
I have. It's a budgeted vacancy that I am being told right now that I cannot fill.
Well, you got to tell me more. Who's telling you that?
The administration. I'm being told that we have a hiring freeze.
Like, you can't say that it's a 5-alarm fire and that rather than direct our fire hoses at the fire, we're going to direct a couple and keep other ones to water our garden. And that's kind of the mentality we've gotten. But I will say in the last couple of weeks, the last month, it seems like the mayor woke up, the administration woke up, and they're trying to legitimately tackle a deficit. But it's a frustrating missed opportunity that after that really contentious February meeting, we could have collectively fixed it. They just didn't want to work with us. So yeah, that's my job.
So that's
what I do. That's what I do. Yeah.
What about your job?
Well, my job?
Yeah. Do you like your job?
I am. I'm actually telling it to my therapist this week. I'm like, I'm pretty much the happiest I've been.
I love that for you.
I'm like, most people would probably see the amount I work and see that, I don't really take a lot of time off and say doesn't seem, but I'm kind of aware of my issues and I'm not frustrated by them. I'm aware of them. I know the causes and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I'm comfortable with that. And it's also allowed me to, go on vacations and enjoy my vacations more and manage things differently here. And yeah, I'm actually in, I would think, actually a relatively good place.
Does your therapist take United?
No, my
because I could certainly.
She's great. My previous therapist fired me. Well, he didn't fire me. He retired.
He retired. He's still a fireman.
I was Dr. Randy Harper.
Y'all broke up.
He's kind of a legend and stuff like that. I actually got referred by my ex-business partner, Andre, his mother, got me appointments with Randy, and I saw him, and he taught me all these, great concepts of mindfulness and radical acceptance, and I don't know.
Radical acceptance is really
and
that's it.
All these other really cool Buddhist type principles that I actually like fully subscribe to. I think they're great.
I will tell you, the happiest I ever was in my life was my junior year in college, where I was called a semi-practicing Buddhist, where I had gotten to a point where I was trying to figure out how to cope with life and expectations in a way, and like to not let materialism and the constant fear of failure like govern my life. And then I got to law school and it ruined all of that, because law school is like the worst fraternity hazing for 2.5 years.
Yeah, law school.
You went through law school.
Yeah,
sure. I did law school.
Law school just tears you down.
Well, it's just advanced analytical thought, which is, it's if you have some of it, it's not terrible, but it's definitely a process that you have to go through. But I just, even when I feel myself stressed. I got the apps on, right. I got the phone, I got somebody's doing something stupid over there. Customer comes up. In the past, I've been, I'm going to take it out on the customer.
Right.
I don't do that. I can see it. I can feel it. So
you're no longer a Stein, the soup Nazi?
No, I'm not, as much as I used to be. As much as I used to be. I hate that. I hate to say that it's. I hate this probably much to people's chagrin, but and I see other thing. I don't get frustrated by the apps. I understand the apps. I understand that the way the market's moving and this and that, and I work with it as much as I can, and I see holes in it, and I try to exploit those holes as much as I can. There's a reason why the place kind of looks like this. First of all, it's functional and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's I hear all these things about businesses that have upscaled or open chains and analytics and how they kind of dumb things down. And it kind of makes me smile, because it makes me know that there's always going to be a place for me, even though I'm going to have to be here a lot, because that's what kind of, makes this place so kooky. But I don't mind it. But, as Rob Manfred, the commissioner of baseball, once said, before he made a bunch of changes to baseball as far as shifts, and he's like, analytics is the arms race to nowhere. Everybody's trying to win, but we're creating a game that sucks to watch, because everybody's hitting home runs and striking out and stuff like that. And now I watch people focus so much on analytics, and my goal is to create an experience here, because ultimately the reason why this place runs the best, when people come into the deli, buy stuff here, tip my staff, create environment, buy stuff off the shelf. That is ultimately what creates. And watching places like this dumb themselves down and disappear, it's disheartening. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's like, I'm gonna be here.
What's your favorite app?
I like DoorDash better than Uber. I just have those two. Yeah, I find DoorDash to be more functional, easier to maneuver on there. I find Uber to be somewhat adversarial and somewhat manipulating and stuff like that. But like anything else, if you understand what's going on, you just if you're gonna f with me, I'm gonna f back.
Yeah, but I find that so interesting, because
Uber's business is probably 2 to 3 to 1.
Right.
But if you ask me functionally, on the weekends, if it gets busy, back when September's slow. So I keep the apps on almost all the time now, and stuff and also the fact that everybody else is on the apps.
Right.
There was a time when we were one of the first places on the apps, and we had to shut it off, because it's you had to kindle the people that come in the deli. But I would keep DoorDash on and shut off Uber, because I can monitor the flow better. I know what's coming in. And you see that too. I see my DoorDash numbers, because my customers have realized that, Uber's off, but he kept DoorDash on, because we're able to manage the flow. And, Uber's never really created anything to allow me to do that. DoorDash makes it easier to pause, easier to slow down things, et cetera, et cetera. One thing that I do that I'm sure they completely disapprove of is I keep on my extra POS, I keep both apps open. And if things get stupid and out of control, I just close the store. They usually pause, like say, hey, pause on the apps. I'm like, pause, just delete. We're closed today, and then
awesome.
and then we get to the point, and then reopen the store when it's calmed down, and I'm sure they're like, you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to. And I'm like, I don't care.
But like,
it's easier for me to do that than reach over him and pause. He's got the DoorDash one. I got the Uber one over here. You know, I'm managing a busy day. I've got to just keep an eye on how many sandwiches or how many people he has on his, how many of them mine. I'm doing the calls, phones, who's coming in the deli. Got to keep an eye on hot sandwiches versus cold sandwiches. Keep an eye back, how many tickets are backing up. So I have to make an executive quick decision. All right, I got to stop. I got to shut this off right now. Let my guys deal with this and stuff like that, and be able to manage this so that it doesn't just go, the ship doesn't sink.
I mean, I asked that because like,
and it's, you know, and they're being trained to do it too. They're seeing it.
But like, it's so interesting because I have never met a single independent owner of a restaurant who, when I ask them to rank the apps, Uber is always the middle or the bottom.
Yeah.
Like every time.
There's always what?
Always either in the middle of the pack or the bottom of the pack. People like every other app besides
Well, there's
Uber.
only two. Yeah, I mean, like I said, Uber can be, I don't think they care. They tend to be, they swing their position around. They know they have power. They know they have the power of, they have more clientele, so they don't always make things friendly. In a real world, in a perfect world, Uber wants access to my POS system and the orders just to come in, but I don't do that. They look at me like, whoa. I go there to a tablet, and then we have to individually enter in each order. And why do you do that? I mean, because it's my job to expedite, make sure we have all the items here. If something's on there that we're out of potato salad, then I catch that. I'm not sending it through the line and having them tell me, and then I have to go back and call customers and figure out how we're going to get out, and how do we get out of that pickle.
I've gotten those calls and they're super annoying.
What, from the restaurant?
No, like when I prefer your way of doing it because you're catching it on the front end.
Yeah.
I get the call occasionally from the restaurant where they've already subbed something out and sent it back out. And it's like, well, I just would have rather not have had that item.
Sure. I mean, we try to do that. Uber does something where if you try to, like, you don't have something, they automatically pause the whole order, which is DoorDash has like this thing where it's like, if it's de minimis, they just take it off and stuff like that. But Uber,
that would be better.
But Uber does something where they pause the whole order, and there are times where I'm like looking and I'm like, all right, and I'll try to call the customer, and they won't answer the phone, but I'll call, and then it'll give me their voicemail, and then they'll give me their phone number, and I'll write down the phone number, and I'll text them, yo,
I know you don't know this is Stein, but
I just type yo Steins, yo Steins. Yeah, if I'm depending on busy, yo Steins, it's back in your court, and some guy was wrote me back. He's like, yo, and it's like, oh, thanks, and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, it's functional. I mean, it is what it is, but yeah. It's unfortunately where the business is. I mean, people just do that now, and also people go and they don't realize that you can call in phone orders. They still they do pickups, and we'll tell customer it's cost us a little bit more. It's gonna cost you a little bit more if you do pickups. We prefer if you call in and stuff like that, but the world's changing, and we just have to.
Yeah, I mean, for the restaurants I use pickup, I always prefer to call, because I know that I know that there is an upcharge to you and an upcharge to Uber to fix their profit model. That is not
I usually go or I call. Like tonight, we went to hot stuff and called ahead and, and made sure they had some stuff there. Just for patron saint, I think they use toast. So I don't think if it is, it's a negligible fee. So I did the salad there and stuff like that, and then went down and picked up the slices, et cetera, et cetera.
So what else do you want to know about city government? Or are you just done?
No, I mean, I sat and I did a day with Leslie. I remember that was
fun.
That was fun. But it's definitely.
For those of you who don't know,
I'm actually interested in doing a day with you because I think a day with you would be a far.
It would be very different than.
I just have a feeling. Yeah.
So those of you who don't know, Stein was an intern for a day in Leslie Harris's office, and it was surreal to see a different side of Stein at City Hall as like a West Wing intern.
Well, we came to a meeting and you were like behind the dais sitting like staffers, just like behind Leslie in a collared shirt.
But in a collared shirt. And it's so...
I have collared shirts.
I have no doubt that you own...
We already did that once.
We already did that once.
Yeah.
But no, I would love you to come by. I mean, it's a very different experience. Our offices... a very different energy.
Oh, I'm sure.
I mean, my office is more like there is if you haven't noticed, I've got a little touch of ADHD, a little smidgen.
I haven't noticed.
I haven't noticed. Well, I've got a really significant ADHD. So my staff is constantly responding as I have different conflicting ideas on what I want to do. And so I'll be in office, I'll just yell someone's name, and they just come with a pad because they know that I'm going to suddenly want to do something. And so it's like a constant conveyor belt of ideas and whether they're feasible or not feasible. Like what people don't know about me.
No, that's part of being a lawyer. I mean, that's part of the way I manage here. I actually want people to confront me.
Right.
Like not all the time, but at some point, at some points, I want my staff to say that's not a good idea because of this.
Monet's great in being like, your dad idea for a post is a horrible idea. You should not do that because no one's going to like your dad joke. Julia Zuckerman, who's my legislative director, who's a brilliant lawyer, she'll be like, yeah, thing you want to do is not legal. You can't do that. And so like, they're all very comfortable and like shutting me down when I have bad ideas, and I appreciate that. But
I have people here. I have Dan Fox, Anti-Gravity Magazine.
Right.
I run by stuff. Don't do it.
Yeah. So I mean, like, but on the flip side, because my chief of staff, Crystal, used to be my legislative aide, it's also a superpower because, like, what's funny is like for the last couple of weeks, we've been on the campaign trail going to forums, and every forum, Delisha and Matt Willard get up and they go, we've been at the legislature for 6 years and I've passed 30 bills, 6 years. I didn't say anything. And then we're at a forum and finally someone was like, JP, you were a legislator. How many bills did you do? And I said, well, I filed 564 bills. I passed 166 bills, but if you include resolutions and non-bills, it's probably closer to 250. And if you just saw Delisha and Matt, they were like, what the f***? I was only there for 11, 12 years.
Like 14.
Well, in the House, when I was a baby House member.
We're counting baby House member years.
House member when I was in 06 to 08, I was like learning how things went. And like that was a real formative time. But when I went full tilt every day, and that's why Crystal understands my ADHD brain more than anyone else, like, whenever I see a problem, I have like an obsessive need to figure out how I'm going to fix it. And at the legislature, that was just bills. I filed bills on top of bills beside of bills. And I did so much. When you get to the council, the amount of ordinances that we have filed, the amount of things that when you look at the output of like me and Helena, you could tell we came from the legislature in that if there's a problem, we want to pass a bill to fix it. And it's very different from people who don't have that background because they spend a lot of time trying to negotiate problems. And my issue with negotiating a problem is if it's a reoccurring problem and you negotiate a solution, that means that when a new person has that job, the same problem is going to come back. And so when you fix that problem in an ordinance or in a way that's finite, you fix the problem for good.
I got you.
And so we spend a lot of time doing a lot of ordinances or doing charter amendments. And I know nobody else will talk about the charter amendments. So we've got a charter amendment that deals with lawyers. You'll appreciate this. So the city attorney is the lawyer for the city of New Orleans. That's what they're supposed to be. The lawyer, the city attorney, this term has been the lawyer for the mayor. Whenever you had third parties that want to challenge a law the city had on the books, the city attorney's job is to defend the law. What happened repeatedly during this term is if the mayor didn't like the law, she would tell the city attorney, don't defend the law. And so the council would constantly have to hire outside counsel to defend the law. And what became more and more apparent with the Wisner case and other issues is if the best interests of the city conflicted with the mayor's position, every time the city attorney picked the mayor's position. So the charter amendment on the city attorney is because I believe from our experience, the city attorney's number one client should be the city of New Orleans, the citizens, and not the council or the mayor. So all the charter amendment says is ethically, as a lawyer, when you're making decisions as city attorney, your client is the city, the mayor and the council.
So is that what it is now, or that was what it always
that
been?
was what it is now is like very murky, and it's like the mayor appoints you with the council. You're supposed to consult with them, but there's no clear lines ethically saying, as an attorney, this is your client, these are your ancillary clients. So what the charter amendment says now is your client is the city of New Orleans.
I mean, you changed this.
So we're changing it right now. It's going on the ballot in November.
Okay.
We are changing the law to say your client is the city of New Orleans and the citizens. If the citizens and the city are in conflict with the mayor or the council, your client is the city.
City, and you tell the mayor or the council,
nope,
go hire themselves
a lawyer. Correct. And the reality is that the city and the city, the mayor has an executive council. The council has an executive council. For most things, we just go to our own lawyer on it if there's a conflict. But it's so important because in Monroe right now, the mayor of the city of Monroe wanted to appoint a fire chief. The council disagreed with him. The mayor asked a state senator to pass a law to let Jeff Landry appoint their fire chief. Okay. Monroe is a charter city too. What you want in that situation, if let's say our mayor was that stupid, you want a city attorney to go, that's dumb, I'm suing, you can't do that. You don't want the mayor and council's conflict personality or politically to ever compromise what's best for the city.
Yeah.
And so the charter amendment says city attorney's job, number one, is to protect the people of the city. But I love the idea of talking about superheroes. So let's talk about Batman first. You and Batman. And I'll talk about being Captain America.
You want me? I have to talk first?
You talk first. You talk. I talk all the time. You
right,
talk first.
Fine. What did you say? You discovered why you like Batman?
Yeah. So, there's a lot. But so I've come to grips that, I was bullied a lot growing up. Maybe in my family, amongst my peers and stuff like that. And I think I always gravitated to Batman because he was never bullied, and he also stood up for the weak and stuff like that. And I find myself gravitating now to other people. Like, I wear that Ruth Bader Ginsburg shirt. Yeah. Ruth was a badass.
She was a badass.
She was a badass. She never got intimidated. She never bullied, and she stood up for them. I wear this Jerome Powell shirt because, the president's trying to bully him all the time. And he's just, no, I'm going to do my job. I'm going to do the job that I'm supposed to do, and you can't do anything about it. You can't get rid of me. You can't fire me. I'm going to keep doing my job. There's another shirt that I wear that not many people realize. It's Judge Boasberg, who was the judge that stopped the deportations when Trump started sending people out, and they did it anyway, and he got upset, James Boasberg. But same thing. Here he was. And he ultimately, the Supreme Court found that he had lacked jurisdiction and he couldn't do what he did. But the Supreme Court ultimately rendered a decision saying, but there was due process. So when this is sent out,
Right.
this is going to be done. And it was out of deference and respect to him because they had a lot of respect for him. And, I clerked for federal judges. I clerked for one federal judge, actually, and I interned for a judge. Judge Boasberg knew he had no jurisdiction. I know it. I just know in the back of he knew he had no jurisdiction, but he knows all these guys are getting flown out of the country unless
He does something.
Unless he does something about it. And then guess what? He's ultimately found to lack jurisdiction.
But he solved the problem.
Yeah, he did it. I mean, I can't say that for a fact, but I love that shirt and I like that guy a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, it's important to lift up people that take the fight for little man.
It means a lot to me.
No,
and bullying, as you get older, the bullying changes from the playground bully who's bigger and stronger than everybody else, and takes different sort of forms. Emotional bullying. There's all kinds of stuff that you can see the president doing that is whether using the Justice Department and stuff like that, even putting as simple as putting a 50% tariff on Brazil because he doesn't like
prosecuting their president.
Yeah, so that's bullying. I mean, that's simple, plain, and stuff like that. Anyway, that for me is triggering. So with that being triggering, I've learned, these things trigger me, and I try not to let them bother me, but I still like to
support the people that are.
Like I said, it's my little thing that.
Well, I mean, so for me, generally, I love superheroes because they're aspirational, but in particular with Marvel, they're very subversive. When Stan Lee created the X-Men, he did it to represent everyone during the 70s and 80s who were on the fringes of society, that society was always trying to either physically eliminate or basically have them go away. So the reason why the mutants are so weird looking, freaky looking, or have weird powers and the government's always trying to kill them is that he felt like everyone on the margins of society aren't the mutants and the government's always trying to get rid of them. And with Black Panther, he created Black Panther because he saw that people were diminishing and minimizing the contributions of Black people and Black society. And so he made the most advanced technology in the world come from Black Panther from Wakanda. But Captain America is really important to me for a couple of reasons. The first is understanding the history of Captain America. Captain America was created by by Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. Here's what people don't get. When they created Captain America, it was literally to kick Hitler's ass. Literally, these two Jewish guys were like, Hitler. Here's what people don't get. When Jack Kirby and Stan Lee created Captain America to fight Hitler, America wasn't in the war yet, and plenty of people in America were Nazi sympathizers. Their comic was so unpopular, and they got so many death threats, the mayor of New York had to assign them a police detail so they weren't killed. Now, mind you, when America entered the war and we saw how horrible things were, Captain America became very popular. But it's important to remember, he wasn't invented to be like a gift to Uncle Sam. He was invented by two Jewish young men who saw something horrible happening across the world and personified someone to fight it. Over the years, I love Captain America because no matter what's going on in America, whether it was the Vietnam War, whether it was nuclear bomb, every step of the way, Marvel has done an excellent job of keeping him as the moral compass of the country. He is not a stooge for the American government. He represents what Americans should be. And when you look at all the major plot lines, whether it be Civil War when they were trying to like take away Americans' rights and he sided with the rights against the government, when you look at all these opportunities, things that happened, the easiest thing for him to do as the person who wears the red, white, and blue would be to agree with the government. And literally every time he does it. And there was this real powerful, so Ta-Nehisi Coates wrote Captain America for about 25 issues. And people were just like, how the hell is Ta-Nehisi Coates, who is like the black voice of black people, writing Captain America? And it was a real interesting run, but they had this one line which really kind of sticks with me in like the era of Trump. And it is when General Thunderbolt Ross from the terrible current movie that just came out, he is basically the head of the army and military, and he tells Captain America that he's saying too much to get the public inside it. And he has this line where he goes, Captain, you're a good soldier. I need you to stand down. And he looks him in the face and goes, General, I'll stand down when Washington stands up.
Oh.
And it was this line that stuck with me because when I have him on the wall behind me when I'm doing these podcasts, people are like, oh, he's a Marvel nerd. It's that, but it's also like a reminder. It's a reminder that, like, I was not elected to be your cheerleader going rah, 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 everything's great. I was elected to stand up for people and to do the right thing no matter what, even when it's unpopular. And there's a direct correlation between, I mean, literally, like, the right thing is never easy, and making people kind of face the problems the city has. People would rather love a soft lie, not a hard truth, which is kind of why politics has gotten to this point. The reason why you see like everybody like eating this junk food of like cable television, Fox News, whatever they're watching, and tells them all the that justifies why they hate certain people or like certain people. That is the bullshit, like junk food that has made this whole country addicted to echo chambers of like extremism. People don't want to be in a room with someone who's going to give them hard truths when the soft lies are so much easier. When people run for mayor or run for council and they go, all the problems are easy, I can get you everything you want and you won't have to experience any pain. That is absolute them shoveling bullshit in your face. Everything we want to do is going to require something painful to happen. One of my big lines I said when Sean Ferguson was chief and I was trying to get him to resign, which we ultimately succeeded in moving to a new chief. I remember being in a committee meeting where the police department under Sean Ferguson kept saying, you publishing the real crime stats is making people scared. And I said, I don't want people to feel safe. I want them to be safe. And to your point earlier, when people are telling people scary and then at the same time telling them this is real scary, but I can solve this scary problem with a wave of the wand, that is bullshit. And it's an effort that politicians use to scare you into thinking the only person you have a right to be scared about you shouldn't be scared of.
And people do have a right to be scared.
Right. But you have a right to be scared over real because you have real information. When Donald Trump is telling you that you need to be scared because somebody's going to steal your job that's not going to steal your job, that has nothing to do with solving a problem. That has to do with convincing you that a problem that doesn't exist is a problem and they're the only person that can solve it. And it's like every problem is solvable if you're willing to make hard decisions and have hard conversations. And I will never avoid having hard-ass conversations in public where we have to stand up for what we want and how we're going to get there. And that's just, I feel like if people had higher expectations for government and didn't buy into this bullshit that if we all smiled at each other in public and only had our fights in private and had private means to solve problems, private meetings don't solve. What they do is they get people to get advantage for their friend, their cousin, or whoever, and problems to not be solved, but for someone to make a quick buck. Every good idea should be argued and debated in front of people, and we should have to defend why we have positions. That's just me. But Captain America is no bullshit. He's about making America look at what America is and what America should be, not the bullshit patriotism sometimes lets people think, if I have a flag on my porch, I'm a good American. Being a good American means that you question America constantly. That's being a good American.
I mean, you want me to agree, disagree? I'm going to agree with that.
I agree.
I just think it's going to be easier said than done.
I agree. It's not nothing worth doing is easy. Like, to your point, what Jerome Powell does, what Ruth Bader Ginsburg did, standing up to bullies is never easy. It is far easier to either look away when someone's being bullied and be happy it's not you, or to join in with the bully and get your licks in. It is never easy to be the other small person and say, that's bull.
Very frustrating in this world right now.
It is.
It's very triggering for somebody, especially like me, this is their problem. But radical acceptance,
There you go.
Bite it, realize it, come to grips with it, keep doing your job.
Oh, I'm going to work on my radical acceptance because I feel like you're in a much better mental space than I am. I'm going to get there.
I actually could probably say, yeah, I am.
Yeah,
I would encourage it. I would encourage. I encourage therapy to everybody. I think it's great.
Amazing.
Yeah, I encourage therapy. There aren't enough therapists in the world, though.
No, they're not.
I encourage it to everybody, and not everybody is as open-minded, but therapy is really good. I've enjoyed it, and it's been very good for me.
Well, with all that being said, I know we've talked for a lot today, and this has been a lot of fun. I always like coming here because, first off, Stein feeds us, which is always a perk. You. He always feeds us the best of foods.
I just, figuring out a way to properly endorse you. Of course, I guess it took 2 hours. And
you could look right into that camera and say, I endorse JpMorrell for City Council at Large, Division 2.
I endorse JpMorrell for City Council at Large, Division 2.
Division 2.
Division 2.
I think I will say, and I know.
I should say even further. I proudly endorse him. I feel very comfortable that you fight for me, and it's something I don't have to worry about.
No, and
and I feel like if we have our differences, and it really had to stand up, that I feel like I could reach out and say something, in a kind way, obviously, not to piss you off.
Well, to be clear, my position has always been I don't know all the answers to all the problems, and I prefer people challenge me if they think I can do something in a better way. And you've always been someone who, I think we get along because we're both no bullshit people. Life is too short for bullshit. It just is. And honestly, I have 3 kids. I got to deal with a lot of bullshit that I have no control over on a daily basis.
I don't have that. Well, I have no kids, but I have, yeah.
Yeah. Everybody has a person in their life where you're you have a different type of relationship and obligations. But so for me, for people that I deal with on a daily basis, I just want people to feel like I'm fighting for them. And I know some people don't like fighting. If you don't like fighting, I'm kind of not your guy. And I'll be honest, if you're someone who believes things are going to get fixed just through osmosis and wishing it, then I'm not your guy. But if you're someone who wants someone to fight with you and fight for you, I'm the guy. But I've enjoyed working with Stein. I've enjoyed working with people who don't think like me because their solutions to problems, we were talking earlier about fortified roofs, and you had a great idea that no one thought of, that I'm going to go push on a legislator to go make a bill because I think that's a solution. But I promise you no one thought of it that way.
I'm pretty sure they did.
I'm pretty sure if they did not pass a tax credit for fortified roofs,
I think the reason why they didn't pass a tax credit for fortified roofs is because they want to micromanage it, like they are with the lottery, and to make sure that the people are actually getting the right fortified roof.
But the problem you have there is, and this is we're supposed to end, but we're going to do this.
Yeah, but it's not going to create the volume that you need.
But that's exactly your point. You're 100% right. if you want to tightly control how many fortified roofs get built through the lottery system, you're never going to reach critical mass to actually have enough fortified roofs to lower insurance for everybody.
I agree with that.
So anyway,
gotta be a way to
that's
do
now a legislative debate. But
All right.
thank
That's
you
for episode 3.
Thank you for having me here. I love being in Stein's Deli. I love being here. I love visiting with you. You
All right.
are the best, and Monet is here to make sure that
Monet's here as well.
that I don't curse too much, and that I drink from my mug and all that stuff.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, thanks. I didn't mean for you to stay this long.